Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Have you found yourself forgetting things? Maybe a little brain fog going on there. Not really sure what's happening with your memory. We're going to probably surprise you today in divulging things that can affect your memory and what could be going on there. And that's just a piece of what she offers as a medical intuitive. I had no idea one existed. She uses her intuition to help find challenges, diagnose all of that. She's not a doctor, but she works with the medical community, and she's back with us as our professional of the year. It is Dr. Gloria Warren. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. When I said you're not a doctor, I didn't mean it in the sense of a
No,
medical
no,
doctor, but
that's quite all right. I am a doctor of research, and I'm not a physician per se, but I help physicians help patients.
gotcha. Got it. So let's dig into this whole thing about memory. I'm surprised before we got on here, some of the things that can disrupt your memory. Wow. Let's dig in.
So, first I want to just ask the audience, how many times have you walked in and you talking to somebody, but then you can't find the right words, or maybe you can't remember their name, or even sometimes you'll be driving and all of a sudden, like, where am I going? You're getting lost sometimes, or even just more confusion than what you would call from years ago, or following simple directions, like even baking a cake or how to get somewhere. So these are all types of symptoms that certain people, I guess everybody at some point in their lives goes through this. So there's so many causes to these problems of memory. And, first you may want to check with your doctor, get a CAT scan, see if there's amyloid buildup, plaque per se on your brain in different areas. And that can actually help me too when I do a reading. But that's very important. Then you got to consider some other problems that can cause memory issues, like cardiovascular problems, maybe not enough circulation in the brain, or arrhythmias with your heart, that perhaps there's not a correct blood flow into the brain or around the brain. Certain drugs and prescriptions are a big cause of memory issues. And that's something that I noticed that a lot of people are surprised about. You could have a drug interaction, or a lot of sleeping medications or antidepressants, anxiety pills, different sedatives, beta blockers, even for your heart. These are things that can cause memory issues. Now, of course, if you have the wrong combination of pharmaceuticals in your body, it can accentuate those problems and the memory issues can get worse. So, there's always the obvious head injuries or concussions, things like that. But there are other hidden reasons why you could have memory issues. And that's something that I would look at, and I would try to see into what's going on within you and figure it out so we can help the doctor figure it out. And then what I would do then is look at maybe what is the root cause of that problem. Is it circulation? Is it, one of those other causes that I mentioned? And then the solutions are really important. There's different things you can do. Could be diet, there could be herbs like fenugreek and ginkgo biloba, but there's problems with that too. You have to realize that's a blood thinner. So it's really easy for people to say, oh, try ginkgo, but maybe you're on an aspirin therapy that your doctor has you on, or maybe you take a prescription drug for blood thinners or blood thinners of sorts. So there are certain herbs you cannot mix with pharmaceuticals. And this is where I come in. I've worked in pharmaceutical research for 8.5 years. I am a researcher by trade. I do research of all different types of medicine, Eastern, Western, herbology, rainforest medicine. I'm learning Native American medicine now. So a lot of these things, the interactions are things that maybe a physician may not be schooled in. And I help them find what's best for you. Supplements can cause memory problems as well. Your diet can cause memory problems, but there's things and solutions that you can change your diet, or you could take certain supplements. Even adding some bone broth or collagen may help in some areas, but there's another thing. Everyone's big on bone broth today. I've been prescribing bone broth since the 70s, and collagen. And the thing is commercial products may not be what you're looking for. You may want to make it yourself. And these things also, if you have too much collagen and gelatin, it could lead to blood clots. So there's a real balance here that people are unaware of. Everything you do, whether it be the medications you're taking or herbs, even some of the foods you eat, there's always problems that may arise from a combination of things. So this is something that I do that other medical intuitives, I don't know any other medical intuitive that does that. So you need, if you need to see me, you can always, contact me and we can look at things, and then I can put it all down. We can do it in a formal letter, and we can have your doctor look it over. They can call me. I do appreciate a call from time to time from a physician. I know my limits, they know their limits, and we just kind of coincide and try to help the patient holistically as a whole, not just one thing or another.
So I was on the bone broth bandwagon for a little while. Honestly, got a little bored, not a lot of flavor, but good for you, and a source of, some protein. I picked up a protein powder that has peptides, and I heard it was good. I have no idea what it is. Can you explain?
Well, for one thing, I think I'm into simples. So if you're going to do bone broth, just do bone broth. Okay. And then if you want to do something other than bone broth, like peptides, I think you should take a separate supplement, because you may not need all those peptides at once.
What exactly are they?
Well,
like I thought it was derived from the marrow.
collagen, and it's derived. Well, the actual bone itself has the peptides and collagen, elastin, fibrinogen, glucosamine. It has, and even calcium ends up in bone broth. But that's the bone broth you would make yourself at home. It's a simple recipe, and you can do it. You can change the flavor of your bone broth depending what herbs you throw in it each time too. And then you can put it in a refrigerator. It lasts 3 weeks. I reduce it. I boil it down. So if it's a gallon, it comes out to be like a pint. And then I'll take a teaspoon in a cup of hot water. But it's more extended sometimes than what you would get in a health food store or on the shelf. And it's fresher. And you can choose too. Like, I have a lot of vegan people that maybe they have to go off the veganism for a while, and maybe they need a little bone broth because they're anemic, and heme iron only comes from meat, animal meat. It's the only thing that has heme iron in it. You can't replace that particular substance in any way. And maybe they're anemic. Now, like Gandhi said at the university when he had his speech on the stairs, for healthy people, a vegan diet is good. And he's right. Even the Dalai Lama, though, eats meat today. It's just something, when you're not completely healthy and you don't have that youth adrenaline and metabolism helping you out to keep you healthy, sometimes you need a boost. And if you can make your own bone broth by using the scraps of bones and meat, that things that people don't normally buy, you can actually still make bone broth with it. You just need some kind of bone, a little bit of meat on it, but mostly the bone. That's really, I would say, 1/3 meat, 2/3 bone, and it would actually balance out to create a good bone broth.
Do you find it pretty amazing what can take away our memory? Like a lot of these things we don't even realize.
Oh my gosh. The clinical studies were just released a few weeks ago about sedatives. And a lot of people take Benadryl, one Benadryl. Hey, you got to go to sleep. It's simple. It's delicate on your system. Why not? Take a Benadryl, go to sleep. But if you do these things all the time, and you do it fairly often, it actually shuts down a certain area of your brain, which is also part of the memory area of your brain. So you don't want to do it long. Sedatives, of course, you need to follow your doctor's orders, that's understandable. But if you're at home and you're just try this, try that, and you think Benadryl's the one-stop shop, you may be mistaken about that. You may want to look into other types of things, maybe some type of therapy for yourself, or maybe
Hmm.
extra exercise in the morning and early afternoon, or something to where you can sleep and have a more restful evening. Maybe you need to change your life around even, because if you're not sleeping, that is possible. It's from your surroundings and your environment. So you need to find out why you're not sleeping. Maybe you just have so much work that your brain won't stop. Well, maybe there's alternatives to a sedative, or something as simple as it may sound, Benadryl. Benadryl may work, but not all the time. So maybe you need to switch things up a bit so it's not attacking the same area of your brain all the time. Variety is what I'm saying. So even raising your fat intake a little before bed can actually make you sleepy. And that's, milk, for instance. Yes, it has certain chemicals that make you tired, but also if there's a higher fat in the milk, you actually have a tendency of falling to sleep faster. There's other alternatives, is what I'm saying. So
Wow.
good thing to look into.
As a medical intuitive, what can you tell? Like we're centering on memory challenges, but you looking at somebody, reading somebody intuitively, can you pick up on some of these things that may
Oh,
be
yes,
challenging? Yeah.
absolutely. I can see through them a frontal lobe, high frequency synaptic responses, uh, these type of synaptic energy things within their heads. I see it and I can see where it is. And some things you can tell, oh, they definitely have a problem sleeping, or this person has a problem staying awake, just the opposite. So, and there's just different things you can tell. I can read on them intuitively and physically that indicate sleeping problems.
I want to center on that for just a moment. What do you say to people who look at what you do? Like, come on, how does a woman use intuition and is able to figure out what's going on, in somebody's body?
Well, I know this is simple as this. A lot of times, if they're in my presence, it's much easier, of course. I can just quickly teach them how to feel energy and then maybe explain to them how I feel the energy coming on me on the surface of my skin and knowing what's going on inside, and then how to see energy so they understand that people can actually see energy. And when I see the energies, I see the colors, I see all of that type of thing. And then in one step further is inside of them, I can see different things. And I use a lot of intuition, and it's like my brain is not even in my own head. It comes out over here and I actually can see. And I tilt my head a lot when I'm doing readings. And um, it shows immediately. And then spiritually I get a lot of different signals, like they'll say, oh, check here, when I think I'm all said and done. No, you forgot, you got to go down, look at their knee. And I'll look, I'm like, whoa, how did I miss that? So it's a combination of things,
But
but
one
they
thing
do believe it.
we should be clear about is you have a
Mhm.
medical background. So it's not
Right.
like, you're walking around saying, yeah, I'm a psychic and I'm going to, tell you what's wrong with you. It's based on your experience. And,
Hmm.
from the medical side of things, I'm trying to remember nursing background.
No, I actually started off in laboratories, and
Oh,
then I
wow.
ended up in medical assisting and surgical assisting.
Okay.
Uh, then I ended up in pharmaceutical research. So different clinical background. I even worked at a clinical site for gynecologic oncology, and it was just fascinating, the things that I just tried to learn. I was always I just can't get enough learning. Um, so it's just been a whole conglomerate of medical.
Yeah. What's the biggest surprise you got in reading somebody? And this is all
The
confidential, but what
Well,
came
I'm not
through?
mentioning names, so, and
Sure.
that's fine as long as I don't mention names.
Sure.
And I do what they call I blast people, and like it in groups, large groups. I'll line them up, and I'll get their permission. Is it okay if I say it right in front of everyone? And they're all usually, yes, go right ahead. And I just do like kind of blasting on each person. And I really just tune right into this other dimensional space almost. And then I just go through real fast. And some of the things with that are just so astounding. This one man, he and his wife started screaming. I saw a tumor and I told them exactly where it was and how big it was, and they were screaming, "Oh my God, oh my God." And it was just so phenomenal. But she said, no, it's okay, it's okay. You don't understand. We just came back from the doctor and we just got the CAT scan results, and you just told us everything that he showed us on the CAT scan.
Wow.
So it's just and then another one is I do something called Journey Junction, where I can actually see what people's purpose is for being here, their journey. And I can actually, it's like I connect with the word, the ultra dimensional word. And they tell me what they're doing in life now and what they're supposed to be doing in life. And I had a physician bring me, go to his office, and he had like 30 people sitting in a U shape. And so I did the same thing. I did a blasting one after another after another. And the one lady, I'm like, you are working in healthcare, you're working in nursing. No, but you're not supposed to be there. You're at a hospital and you've worked at nursing homes, but you can't be there. You're supposed to have you're supposed to start a new business, and it's home health care specifically, and you need to do senior citizen. And she was like, you had to tell her that's exactly what I just in the middle of starting. I run across these things, and it's so gratifying to me that I'm able to do that in front of people here and there when you have groups, because then they know it's not something I'm making up. This is not
Right.
me. Yes, I use my medical skills and my medical knowledge, but the actual performance and what I'm doing, it's not, I don't take credit for that. This is something ultra dimensional, interdimensional, and from other areas and things and spirits and guides and whatever. And it is something that when I say something, it's something for them to hear. So too often or not, I'll tell somebody, oh, you have this, like the one I mentioned last week, you have an arrhythmia, it's mitral valve, it's this and that. And then they call me, it's a few years later, she texted me the other, few weeks ago saying, you were absolutely right. I was having some problems. They put a
Wow.
Holter monitor on me, and it's my mitral valve. And it's, so sometimes I can actually see into the future where the physical situation is going, and I can combine it with their psyche and their spiritual and their physical, and I can put it all like comes down and into truncated, like this is what's going to happen. This is, if you don't change this now, this is what's going to happen. And so they usually change it. And she was very happy though, because when she was having the problems, she mentioned it to her doctor. Her doctor knew exactly what to look for.
Do you surprise yourself from time to time?
Yes, I do. But I do notice though that this is something I've been doing my whole life since a little girl. I had no ego. I was very isolated. I wasn't allowed to talk to people. I had to hide from people, and things were very extremely isolated for me. My social skills were not very good. I did not speak and talk much throughout school, even through high school. Um, and it's just, I see that this gift was from birth, and because I didn't build up an ego, I was able to use it more freely. And it just, so it doesn't surprise me in that way. What surprises me is why some people wait so long to open up their own windows to be able to do things like this. That's why I do the Life Connect retreats, because there's so many things that are not in the mainstream, what you see in the media about holistic practitioners. These are things I show them, gifts that they don't even do in the mainstream, and they're always surprised. We are so capable of so much more than what the general public knows about, and it
Hmm.
just really helps.
It's I can see that people could be a little uneasy with all of this, and just like talking to a psychic, hard for them to grasp it and believe it. But when there's validation, and you told me things, and yeah, one was spot on. The other was like, man, I got to look into that. That weekend, what you said actually transpired medically for me. In turn, something little,
Yeah.
but it was definitely, it was me looking at it saying, oh, yeah, that she mentioned that. Okay. And it's not like I was willing yet. It was, but it was legit. Like you saw. It's very,
Yes.
and we were just scraping the surface. That wasn't a full reading. That was just, let me see what I got.
Yeah, you don't have much. I'll tell you that. You don't have many problems, and your problems are fairly minor to what I'm used to seeing. But thank God for that, right?
Oh, well, yes. And if you can say that as many times as you want, I'm good with that for sure.
Yeah, you're
Wow.
fortunate.
Yeah. So the cool part about this, like you did it for me, is it can be done virtually, just like
Yep.
we're talking here. And just to reset for anybody that may have missed it last time we talked about it and the process, what do you need initially from somebody before you do any kind of reading?
I don't want anything. Just, let's make an appointment. Send me the photos I need. We'll sit down. We'll do a Zoom session. And I don't want anything that's going to persuade my ego in any way, shape, or form. I want to blindly do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Even most psychics, and I'm using this as a comparison, but most psychics the same way. Don't tell me anything. Yeah, that's it. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about legit good ones. How do we connect with you, Gloria? How do we find you? And I'm sure many have questions about all of this.
Well, my website is medicalintuitivegloria.com. Simple, right?
Yep.
But if you want to actually contact me, text is always best. My phone number is 715-892-6304. 715-892-6304.
And a consult, is there any charge for that if somebody just has some questions? Not that you're going to diagnose or come up with anything, but just to understand the process.
Right. Well, I give the website, the medicalintuitivegloria.com, because I do have charges listed on there. The charges are actually donations. If you cannot afford those numbers, please don't let it stop you. Text me. Can we talk about the price? Not a problem. I'll call you back, and we'll definitely change that and make it much more doable for you. And I do a lot of discounts from time to time, 40% off. If I do groups, if I have more than four or more people from a group, it's 50% off. And, we can always discuss if it's done in a group, it can even be more off than that. So I like to do parties sometimes. So
I can't imagine, sitting around and, hearing certain things. Oh, you've got this, you've got that. How about that?
Right.
You might want to check that. But
yeah.
it is an aha moment when you look around each other. It's like, yeah, how did she know? I'm dealing with that, or the doctor hinted at that. Super cool. Always great talking with you, and just the insight here. And this is not a replacement for your medical doctor. However, call it another tool, another diagnostic tool. When it comes to your health, you want as much information as you can get, for sure.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you so much for being here today, Gloria.
Thank you. My pleasure.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.